Hello and welcome to this Battletech overview. Today we're going to look at a fairly weird one. The Kodiak is probably one of the most recognizable ghost bear machine out there, but it's technically supposed to be a second-line machine. It's not an Omnimech. It doesn't have any of the super fancy technology in it, but the look of it and its general combat abilities, to be honest, make it a fairly formidable foe, and a thing a lot of mercenaries are very happy to add to their arsenal if they ever are able to capture one. Of course, this is a ghost bear machine, so the Ghost Bear Dominion owns the majority of them, but a few of the other clans also have them in their inventory. So let's get into it. As we start talking about the Kodiak, we kind of have to talk a little bit about clan culture, which is a bit weird. I mean, in the end, they reformed an entire culture and tried to reform all of humanity in the span of maybe 1 or 2 generations, which led to a lot of weird things come up, including a replacement of religion with basically obsession over your own clan totem. Clan religion is a little bit of a weird debate and a weird discussion, but once you look into it, a lot of the clans generally have a very high esteem in regards to their own totem. They often want to have mechs and weapons that represent their clans. You've got some of them that end up being pretty good. If we look at the Jade Phoenix from Clan Jade Falcon, it's a totem mech that represents the Phoenix and the Jade Falcon really well. I mean, it can jump, it can more or less fly, it has very strong hitting potential, it does what it's supposed to do. You've got some that are good on paper and just a little bit weird, like the Balius. I'm never a fan of quad mechs, but the Balius is pretty decent, and it does have that intimidating factor with it. And there's some that I've only ever seen on paper, and well, actually we have a few that came in the office here, but there's things like the Mandrill, which looks like an actual Mandrill with missile launchers strapped to the side. Clan mechs are weird, and clan totem mechs are even weirder. So if we're going to go with totem mechs, we're going to have to talk about the first totem mech that Clan Ghost Bear tried to do, which was the Grizzly. It wasn't a very well-received mech. It's not an Omnimech in an era where they were getting more and more prevalent. It was a 70-ton machine. It was a bit slow, actually, for a clan mech, even of the era. It uses a 280 engine to get up to 65 kilometers per hour, and it has 13 tons of standard armor. Not terrible up until now if you compare it to Inner Sphere mechs or earlier clan mechs. If you compare it to more modern designs, you start realizing how lacking it is. It does have a decent array of weapons with a Gauss rifle, one of each pulse laser, so a large, a medium, and a small pulse, so you do have something against infantry as well. You have a 10-rack LRM, which is always useful for indirect fire or for a variety of fun things you can do once you start having fancy ammunition. And it is jump capable, 120 meters. Once again, very average, let's say, for a 70-ton machine. There was problem with the armor setup on it. The armor plates were not quite up to snuff, and they sometimes cut into the myomer bundles. The actuators were brittle on original models, so they needed to be replaced more often. Or modern models took out these kind of deficiencies and on-the-spot refits fixed a lot of those. But since the mech was rather unpopular with the techs, well, that makes it rather unpopular with the Mechwarriors, who have to keep hearing the techs saying that the mech is terrible. That's a thing you learn when you work in the halls quite a bit. At that point, Clan Ghost Bear started working on building a Totem Assault Omnimech, and it turned out into a nice divergent history of engineering. The original design was supposed to be the Executioner, what we in the Inner Sphere sometimes call the Gladiator, but the design itself was split at some point because things just weren't working out for what Clan Ghost Bear wanted to do. At 95 ton, the Executioner is a fast assault using a 380 XL power plant and a mask, So it can go really, really fast, around 86 kilometers per hour, which is rather terrifying. And it uses 13.5 ton of ferrofibrous alloy and 16 double heat sinks on the base model, which gives you about 26.5 ton of pod space, which is okay. It's basically a clan version of the Banshee, which is not horrible, but not something I would jump on immediately. It does what it's supposed to do, but having fought a few of them in my own life, they never quite reach the level they need to in order to be a successful machine. As with most divergent designs, both the mechs came out in the same year. So the Executioner came out in 3001, and the Mark1 Kodiak was also starting to come out, as the actual machine Clan Ghost Bear wanted to build in a way. Technically, it was supposed to be second line to the Omnimech Executioner, so it doesn't have any pods here. It's built as a standard machine that you can't refit as easily, but it uses a 400 XL engine to go up to 64 kilometers per hour. Good base speed there, and you got 17.5 tons of standard armor. Not the maximum you can have, but a tough enough skin to be able to get into all sorts of scraps. So it is the kind of thing that will be fast enough and tough enough to get into people's faces and shoot all of its weapons at it. Of course, you are not going to punch or kick because you're a good clan warrior and you're not supposed to do that. To let you carry more equipment, the skeleton is made of endo steel, which limits a little bit how much space you have on the inside to put stuff on, but not that many. With a 400 XL engine, you've got plenty of room to put heat sinks in the engine as well, but you still get 20 double heat sinks on the base machine to keep everything relatively cool. I mean, the Kodiak can easily run hot, but still with 20 double heat sinks, even if you run hot, it'll cool down fairly quick. The Mark1 Kodiak is the one most people remember, obviously, and it's a very, very strong brawler, or I would even say an ambush predator in a way. Yes, it doesn't have stealth armor or a void sig system, but if it ambushes you in an alley somewhere, you are going to regret it. You've got an Ultra AC-20 from Series 2, which gives you a massive short-range punch. You've got a pair of 6-tube Streak SRMs for crit seeking and anti-infantry work every once in a while, and 8 Series 2A ER medium lasers, which are Martels with the serial number filed off, or when things get dicey at closer range. You also get an ER large laser kind of put there as an afterthought in order to maybe shoot something that is further away. When you put a 4-ton weapon as an afterthought, you know you're messing with a clan assault mech. During the first of the many combined Ghost Bear wars, a few Mark IIs came out where they converted the Kodiak into a super heavy assault cavalry design instead. You take out some of the ER medium lasers and one of the missile launcher to put in 4 jump jets so you can jump 120 meters. It's an interesting design. It's very decent. And I think in a dark alley in some cities, it would probably be one of the scariest things you've ever seen. Clan Snowraven actually got a decent amount of Kodiaks in their Totem, and they wanted to turn them into anti-air platforms because I guess they didn't have enough glass spiders and Rifleman 2Cs. I'm not quite sure here. For anti-air support, they actually went with a pair of LB-20X autocannon with 6 tons of ammo, split between slugs and clusters. If you're doing more anti-air, you're probably going to have like 4 sets of clusters and 2 sets of slugs. If you know you're going against more battle mechs, probably 3-3. If you know you're going against something very particular and very tough, like a building or an armored structure, well, you'll probably go with 4 tons of slugs and 2 tons of clusters. Gives you a lot of configurations there. You've got also 4 ER medium lasers, and all of that is linked on a targeting computer, which is mounted on the left arm. It's in the shoulder in an assembly. Not the easiest thing to get to. Just make sure you don't lose that left arm or you're losing a lot of accuracy. In order to do that, they did have to take out 6 heat sinks as well. So you do have to manage your heat a lot. It's always a bit of a problem in Kodiaks. In this case, with 2 massive autocannons, just be careful to not shoot everything. As a missile support kind of guy, the Mark IV is actually favorite, but I'm probably one of the minority out there. You get a pair of LRM-20s mounted in the arms with Artemis 4 links, and a pair of ER medium laser for decent fire support at that point. If you start getting vulnerable because something decides to go in close quarter, well, you still have that LB-20X autocannon to remind them that it's a bad idea. It's like my Archer, but a little bit bigger. I'm quite enjoying that particular design. I've piloted it once or twice in simulations, but I've never had one to really play with personally. There has been a new Brawler version or two that came out that are a bit odd, but I do enjoy them as well when I see them show up. The first one, the Mark V, has 23 double heat sinks and 9 ER medium lasers. You're getting into Blackhawk territory there. To support that, you got a pair of ER large laser and an actual Gauss rifle. I don't love it. I don't hate it. It is a different take on the Kodiak. You've got more long-range support. You've got decent short-range punch without crit seeking. It's unusual, but I'm pretty sure it works fairly well. The Mark VI goes back to the basics, more or less, with 8 ER medium lasers, 2 Streak 6, and an LB-20X instead of the Ultra AC-20. You take out the ER large laser and you replace it with a medium pulse laser and a pair of one-use coolant pods. Not a terrible idea, not an horrible setup. It's close to our original. The LB-20X generally doesn't jam. That's when you don't buy stuff from us, obviously. And you lose on that long-range weapon that you were not going to use a whole lot anyways. I've never really seen that one. It's brand spanking new, but we've heard about it and we've seen it in some battle ROMs. In the inner sphere, the current designer and manufacturer of the Kodiak is Bergen. But Ashlane Weapons also wanted to get on the Assault Totem mech game. When they asked for a license, it was refused, so they actually decided to design a brand new Kodiak II and put it on the market to Clan Ghost Bear. Uses the same type of engine, a similar chassis, but the configuration is built for long-range support instead. The main weapon on the Kodiak II, at least the base model, is 50 racks of LRM split in 2 20s and 1 10. All that linked to an Artemis 4 system. To support all of that, you also have an ERPPC linked to a targeting computer and 8 ER small lasers because small targets have to die fairly quickly, I guess. Maybe I would have gone with micropulse lasers if you were worried about infantry. I'm not the guy at Alshane's ear. It's not a terrible idea. I am a fire support guy, so this is a lot of LRM, so it's a lot of fun. I've just never really seen this one used in any major capacity. After the release of the Kodiak, well, Clan Ghost Bear has been building a lot more different Totem mechs. We've got the Arcus, we've got the Bear Cub, we've got the Bruin, we've got new versions of the Grizzly that actually are pretty decent. Got the Karhu, the Kontio, the Kuma, the Stooping Auk, which was originally supposed to be called the Sun Bear, and boat version of the Ursus. In the end, the mech that people really remember for Clan Ghost Bear is still the Kodiak. It's a second-line machine, but I'm pretty sure most Mechwarriors would jump on the opportunity to actually pilot one because it just does the job really well. We don't see a whole lot of those around here in the periphery, and in terms of refit, I would need to play with the innards of more than just the small amounts that I've seen to really tell you what I could do outside of the Mark IV, which I really like, and the original, which is a classic. So I hope you guys have a very nice rest of your day. I thank you for listening to me for so long, and I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.